Hello, this is Shane Starr on a beautiful Sunday afternoon in South Orange County, California. Today I am talking about Big-5 personality traits and work. And at the end of the video, we're going to look at the data we've analyzed, and I'm going to come back with what I think are the best two correlations into MBTI types for work. It'll be interesting. It'll be an interesting trip, and the two best personality types suited for office work in 2024, at least in California, might surprise you. So let's get started. I'm going to flip it around. We're going to look at these Big-5 traits right here. Okay, I wish there wasn't that glare. Anyway, we have extroversion, emotional stability, orderliness, accommodation, and intellect. Another way of looking at that is openness to experience, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. Now remember, openness to experience includes aspects like intellectual curiosity, creative imagination. It correlates with MBTI intuition, either one of the intuitions. And lack of it is more sensing. Now, again, this isn't just pure intellect, because you can be an amazing, brilliant accountant and you'll probably be a sensor. It has nothing to do with your intelligence. It's just your preferences. Next, we have conscientiousness, and that correlates with the J and the P designations in MBTI pretty strongly. I think Red Bull Typing came up with a really good argument against listing these as negative traits, or listing the lack thereof of a certain quality as a negative trait. And I agree with that. So on the flip side of organization, productiveness, and responsibility, we might say spontaneity, flexibility. I think there is a sort of correlation with agreeableness and lack of conscientiousness, and vice versa. I don't think this is a strict scientific coin, for lack of a better term, but I think the more agreeable and open and flexible you are, I think those qualities tend to be the less conscientious types. Not always, but often. Next, extroversion. Now remember, extroversion, we mean this in the common sense term. Extroversion and introversion, we're talking about traits. So again, it's social interactions, not subject-object theoretical designations used by socionics and some advanced MBTI practitioners. Next, we have agreeableness, and that is compassion, respectfulness, trust in others. That tends to correlate with feeling, and lack of it tends to correlate with thinking, but it's not as strong of a correlation as extroversion, introversion, or conscientiousness with the JP typing. And then last but not least, we have neuroticism. Now, either way you go on neuroticism, your MBTI correlation is decided with these first four. Now, if you use 16 personalities on a website, that correlates with the A and the T. A tends to be the calm. The T tends to be, they call it assertive. The T stands for turbulent or anxiety, and the other traits. Here is a look at the way they're listed in Similar Minds. Man, I am not the most modern studio. I'm doing this full old school, right? Extroversion, social or reserved, introvert, extrovert. Emotional stability, that's that fifth thing that either way you go here, you're the same MBTI correlation. Loosely with thinking and feeling. Notice very low there. Next, we have orderliness. That's the conscientiousness, organized or unstructured, JP, high correlation. Accommodation, accommodating or egocentric. So these are the letters they use. And that correlates medium with feeling, thinking. And then last but not least, of course, intellect, non-curious or inquisitive, sensing or intuition. And then those are your correlations below. So back to me. All right. Let's talk about openness to experience. I think the qualities for openness to experience in the workplace, the way that would work is, I think it's good to be open to experience for most positions. I think if you're in a purely numbers position, like accounting or bookkeeping, we do final account statements at my work, and you have to go through a lot of numbers. There's not much intellectual curiosity needed, but you do need to be sharp. You can't be intellectually dull, or to put it bluntly, you can't be stupid and excel at this job. You have to be good with numbers. You have to know your percentages. You have to know when something doesn't make sense, dare I say the word intuitively, but not in an intuitive sense of the word that we mean when we're talking typology. You have to be able to look at something and say, wait, this number must be wrong. That doesn't make sense percentage wise. And you have to be sharp enough to catch those things. These are intellectual qualities that don't really fall under intuition as we mean it to be, such as intellectual curiosity or the interest in ideas not founded or grounded in time and space, like high scores in introverted or extroverted intuition go. So there are things that you will excel at if you lack the openness to experience. But with that disclaimer in mind, I would say most jobs, they want you to be intellectually curious. They want you to think outside of the box. And I think that openness to experience is something you can work hard to improve on if you score low on it. I always score close to the middle on this one, but more on the sensing side. If I was trying to, game the test, I could probably score I without too much trouble, thinking in terms like typology, for instance, thinking about how interested I am in the different theories and how they mix and mash and how they correlate or don't, and taking a deep dive into the cognitive functions. I can get myself in a mindset where I could consider myself intuitive, but when you expand that scope to the totality of my experience, I know better. Okay. So in work, you want to be open to experience. You want to be open to those types of intellectual issues and problems and be able to think outside of the box. I keep using that phrase, but I can't think of a better one. You want to be able to do that in order to excel and grow as an employee. Okay, next, conscientiousness. On the face of it, you would be hard pressed to think how a P or lack of conscientiousness would be better than the J or conscientiousness. We're talking organization, productivity, responsibility, attention to detail, being able to have that laser focus at work. These are all conscientious points. And out of everything I could say about myself in the Big-5, the trait I'm most proud of is I score routinely like a 98% on conscientiousness. And I do have laser focus and attention to detail, and I am a perfectionist, and I'm really hard on myself and sometimes others if mistakes are made, especially hard on myself. That's been said in performance review. So I know what it's like to be on the OCD side of conscientiousness. I think, like any good traits, it's great to a point. I think you want to be on the conscientiousness side if you have a regular office job. Now, if you're a creative artist, maybe you don't need that. Maybe being a P type would be better if you're in um, some sort of marketing role, or some sort of graphic arts design or something like that. But or say you're a musician, or a regular artist, you might be able to get away with not being conscientious. But even if you are, say, a freelance artist with great clients and making lots of money, you still need to be able to organize appointments, do your books, buy supplies, not spend more than you're bringing in. All those things take conscientiousness. So I think if you score really low on this, you're in trouble no matter what. But there are people who are very successful and very rich and very low in conscientiousness. And the way they get around it is they just hire people around them who take care of those types of things for them. Scheduling, accounting, long range planning, things like that. But still, just like openness to experiences is the more desired trait, so is conscientiousness in the office workplace in 2024. Okay, next, extroversion. As a strong social introvert, routinely around, I'd say 73 to 75% on my self-testing and in my 16 personalities typing, and the people around me at work and family members all tell me I'm an introvert, in spite of how much I'm talking into the camera right now. I'm by myself talking into the camera. Anyway, being extroverted to an extent is a necessity in today's workplace. I've had to put a lot of work into becoming more extroverted, and I can do it in small doses, and that's why I've gotten a lot of positive social media reviews, is because I can be charming for 10 to 15 minutes tops. For that short amount of time, I can compete with the best of them. It's just my gas tank is smaller for social interaction than most people. So, I've used this in FE videos, and this is maybe a hint of what's to come. For better or worse, or maybe both, in life, oftentimes, I can't stress this enough, it's not what you know, it's who you know that matters. And extroversion plays a role in here. If you're a social introvert reading a book in the corner at a work party, or even worse, not going to the work party at all because you don't want the social interaction, I personally guarantee you will not go far. Even as a tech guru, you're going to have problems. You have to have friends. You have to be friendly. You have to get along. Being introverted and even being on the fringes of the autistic spectrum, I think, speaking for myself, it's a lot of work, at least without mind-altering substances, because those always used to help. But now that I'm 100% straight edge, I don't have that crutch. So I have to force myself to get out there and interact with people. It's not easy. I wait for them to introduce themselves first. It takes, a lot. It takes work to get me out of my shell in a social environment, but the rewards are there if you take them. And oftentimes, if you're like me and an introvert, whether you're an ISTJ or an INFJ for that matter, or anything that starts with an I, my solution for this is make yourself helpful. That way you're interacting without the social interacting. So what I do is I help take the trash away. I help get someone a drink, or I help clean up the plates off the table, or I help gather the tickets, or whatever it is that needs doing. I make myself helpful in that arena, and thereby I'm participating. Thereby I'm not the weird person sitting in the corner on my phone or reading a book while everyone else is having a good time. Okay, so that's my key. If you don't feel comfortable interacting with people socially, find your niche by helping out, and then you're still contributing, just in a different way. Okay, but the more extrovert you are, probably the better adept you are to growing in your industry, especially in the office place. Okay, next, agreeableness. This is compassion, respectfulness, trust in others. I have always scored lower on this than what would be desirable. I think that ideally you would be high in agreeableness. I can't think of a profession where being low in agreeableness, that's compassion, respectfulness, trust in others. There's very few positions that being low in agreeableness will be good for you. Maybe security guard or bouncer at a club, because if you're too friendly with the patrons, you're going to make mistakes, moral, ethical, business mistakes, and lose your company money. So maybe those are situations where you don't want to be overly agreeable. But for the most part, you want to be accommodating. And for us on the thinking side and the introverted side, that's going to be tough. ISTJs, INTJs, I would say ISTPs and INTPs will also have trouble with this. But on the Big-5, that's something you can work towards. Just like I do with extroversion, I can do it in small doses, and I can be, open and charming for a little while, and then when I do have to say no to people or put the brakes on with resident requests, I can revert back to policy and procedures and the rules. It's like, I would love to help you, but our company doesn't allow these kinds of activities, so I have to say no to that. And people usually understand. Okay, last but not least, I don't have a lot to say about neuroticism, but you're not going to find that on an MBTI test. And whether you score L for limbic or C for calm, your correlation MBTI type is already locked in by that point. You'll just be, your type will end in L or C, which will give you a slightly different description. But both the L and C, if the other four letters are the same, that correlates to the same MBTI type. Let me show you. So you will see RCUIA and RLUAI or AI. They both are INFP, so on and so forth. You see only that L and C are different all the way down the list. That still gives you the same type. So you're just an assertive, confident type. You're a more turbulent type, but the correlation will be the same. I would say in the workplace, you're probably better off being the C type, because you have to be calm, especially when you're multitasking, when the pressure's on, when people are complaining. You'll need to have that inner calmness and confidence, and just that fortitude to be able to get people through the stormy times when there's trouble. Whether you work at an apartment complex like me or a general business office, you're going to deal with people who are stressed, upset, in a hurry. And if you're also anxious or depressed or overly turbulent, it's just going to clash. Okay? So what does that leave us with? What is the ideal work type? And we're hitting in on the 20-minute mark, so it's probably perfect timing. Openness to experience. Let's look at, I would say, so either S or R. I would say S would be better for the workplace. You don't want to be overly introverted. Now, again, for all of these, you can be successful being the exact opposite types we're going to come up with, but we're looking for the best types. It would be an extrovert, emotional stability, someone calm. So we have SC Orderliness, probably orderliness is better than unstructured for the office workplace. So my INTPs or ISTPs who would beg to differ, I know you have a good argument there, but for regular office work, you want to be more on the organized side. So far we have SCO, accommodating or egocentric. Sorry, Shane, who myself is an egocentric. You want to be accommodating. So SCOA, and then non-curious or inquisitive. Probably inquisitive would be better, but I think depending on your specific position, you might be able to be good with N also. So SCOAI would be the ideal type, and I think SCOAN would be the next. So what do we have? The best type for the workplace in 2024 offices in California would be your ENFJs. Okay? If you are an ENFJ, you are probably perfectly suited to success in the office. And second place would be your ESFJs, SCOAN. So my conclusion, again, different countries, different professions might have different results, but for office work in the United States, California in 2024, Big-5 personality traits translated with MBTI correlations, ENFJ and ESFJs are your most successful office workers. And I think I would tend to agree with that. As a self-typed ISTJ, I still have some hopeful qualities that can contribute to a workplace. And whatever your type is, you can find those spots that you can make a great contribution yourselves to. But overall, the people who have it easiest are going to be the ENFJs and the ESFJs. That's all I got for today. I'm out.